honest about the beer.
Oh, we're on live. Remember, we talked about this.
Big Deal Brewing, gotta love it.
Big Deal Brewing, Spittin' Chicklets. My can's dented, 45% off.
Best
Microsoft
beer
went
I
down
ever
3
drank
points.
in my life.
Well, Mill Street's right up there.
Yes.
See the delay? So then we go like this.
Big
And
Deal
we
Brewing, gotta love it. Bring her up.
turn the volume off.
Okay.
And we go over to Zoom. There we go. It is being live streamed.
We are
And
there.
It's being recorded. We are live. We are on.
All
Hey,
right.
guys.
Live, it's the Fan's Perspective. I'm Tyson.
And I'm Josh.
Welcome to the show tonight. Special show. Yes, very exciting. Brit Dort will be joining us momentarily, probably within the next 10 minutes.
Absolutely. I can't wait. We're going to discuss all sorts of rider ridiculousness and training camp and see where Brit, how she got to where she is, how she started where we are in Fox Valley.
She did, only she was right out of school that she went into this, and we're a couple of
we're
senior citizens.
We're probably not going to end up on the same path, but we're drinking beer, talking sports. Life ain't
What do you
that bad.
saying? I thought we we're heading for TSN. Like, we could be the new Dan and G.
We could easily be that.
Oh, yeah,
I'm pretty
for
sure
sure.
we'd be canceled within a
Hell,
month. But
most of the shows I listen to on radio, I'm sure we could do better.
no, there are some poor broadcasts.
Horrible,
But
horrible.
there are.
But we'll get to that another show. Like, we're just so super excited to.
Yes.
It's rider season. We're going to be talking some riders. It's exciting. We're building up towards the CFL season. Hopes are high for your, whatever team you cheer for.
It's crazy because last year was such a letdown. It's like it can't get worse. So everyone's got that optimism. In the province, we live and die by our farmers, and they got a little bit of rain. It's probably the most.
Yeah, it rained.
It rained. Not enough, but it's coming. It's still in the forecast. So
for the weekend,
fingers crossed.
And they increased it again.
Exactly. So, even if we all get a little every time they say we're going to get a lot, it's a lot more than we've gotten in the last 6 years, as you know.
You don't have to tell me, brother.
So I'm excited for that. Well, everybody's happier.
Cheers to a good night.
We got the old Big Deal Brewing from Spittin' Chicklets. So we're gonna enjoy a tall boy tonight.
Biz, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Anytime, Biz.
But let's talk some Oilers, not the Shane.
Oh, he doesn't like the Oilers. You know that. It's Whitney that likes the Oilers.
Oh, hey, we could have a little pink Whitney.
I would get Whitney on the show. Ryan Whitney, come on that show.
Come on down. Come on down. Anyway, we're gonna talk some riders tonight. Going to talk a lot about Brit's upbringing, because she did live in Fox Valley in her early years, and
her story
her story of what got her into broadcasting, why she wanted to do that, and kind of her road to where she's at right now.
That's right, which is awesome. How cool is it for us, being big Rider fans? She's now the sideline girl for our team,
TSN. Yes.
And if you don't know Brit, I mean, I'm sure she'll probably explain it, but she grew up in one of the probably most emphatic Rider pride families that ever was around here. Season ticket holders forever. The Dorts went to every game. Every game I was
still
ever
are.
at.
Probably still are.
I assume they probably are.
Yeah,
she could probably tell us. But now she gets to work for that franchise, kind of, for TSN through it, and that's amazing
for TSN. And I think, she does the CTV stuff.
Yeah, she still does. Yeah.
And
she's awesome.
Yeah, she is. It's totally cool to see her on the sidelines, and she's got a great voice.
She does. I know her voice, even if she's on TV. She's to the morning show or whatever. It's funny when it was on. Even if I wasn't watching, I'm like, oh, it's Brit's segment or whatever. You just remember it.
So I compare her to Natasha almost. It's like, how does that voice come out of that body? Like it's a great
carries
voice.
Well, they were meant to do what they're doing.
They were meant.
We were meant to drink beer and talk shit.
Oh,
and we're good at it.
Be dumb.
Anyways, I mean, I feel like I'm.
But hey, look at the old Don Narcisse. I'm sporting number 80. So
absolutely, I just have an S on my head, but this is a Rider hat, but this is my newest one.
And we'll get Brit's opinion on what it was like to go back to Saskatoon again. First time in a long time. The Riders
COVID, is that right?
Yes, the first time in a long time the Riders went to training camp in Saskatoon. Any standout rookies that she thinks, because there's always some new players.
I have that listed. Is there any names we should be looking for?
Yeah.
Was there any injuries at a camp?
Yep.
What's the I really want to know what the team kind of gelling is like with the new QB.
Yeah. The big Harris.
Yeah, it's a
Andrew
big deal.
Harris. Big deal.
For us, it's a huge deal. Our running backs are going to be strong. But you got to remember, everything runs through him. So
you
what's
bet,
that feel?
and he won't be there Saturday because
That's right. Having
he's
baby number 3.
having a baby.
Yep. Yeah, which is allowed. I mean,
You bet.
like,
Hey,
yes.
well, starting quarterbacks don't play on night first preseason, so
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
and hey, it's preseason. You're not going to get your starter hurt right away. And,
Yeah,
and it's not like he's fighting for his job.
it's actually hilarious to say that every year because the Ravens have been so injury destined the last few years. Every time during
They still have a team in Baltimore.
they got 4 guys left. 4 guys left and 38 announcers that they're just dressing at this point. But so the last 3 years, if you don't follow, I guess if you take the COVID year out, but if you do the last 3 full seasons, the Ravens have the most injuries in all of the NFL in starting positions.
Really?
Yeah. Last year at one time, we were over 50% of our defense was injured. And that's just almost impossible to come back from. But I think it was game 10 or 11. We got like completely healthy and our defense changed. Sadly, game 8 is when we lost Lamar. So it didn't matter that we got all of our defense back.
So are you a Dallas Stars fan?
No, that's
the green hat with the S in front of that. Maybe Stars.
Tonight I am cheering for the Stars. I want that series to go longer.
I
want Vegas to win, but I want that series to go 7.
I actually needed Dallas and Carolina to win. My hockey draft just went up. My hockey draft just went up.
Done too.
I hate to say it. It went up in flames.
I love the Flames. All I got left is Montour.
Hey, and another thing we can ask Brit about is I'm sure she got to be around Connor Bedard a little bit this year too. So.
Yeah, I guarantee. I'd like to know what he's like in person.
Yes,
I will definitely get into that.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting as well, and what it was like to be in Regina and having the arena sold out.
Yeah,
you know, when he came back, it wasn't before World Juniors, but
no,
boy, after
we went after the one game.
Yeah,
and we were there for a hockey tournament, and it was wild.
Yeah,
like, every seat filled in that place.
And maybe we can get her thoughts on like why Regina Pats, other than financially, you know, kept Bedard instead of moving him to a contender.
I would like to know the real reason.
She maybe don't know, but
she maybe don't.
Just in her opinion.
That's right. And she's probably got a closer opinion to the reality than we do. Because all I got is what Twitter tells me. And Twitter told me that their owner was 100% loyal to his decision and he didn't.
Well, I think Connor didn't want to go.
He didn't.
No.
But me being an owner and looking for the future, it's a business.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Well,
it's a business.
Next year, because he's not there, you're going to be wishing.
Suffering.
Yeah.
You betcha. You could have pulled in a ton of picks. Some young guys, anything.
Your team was set up for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah. And now it's like a restart, basically.
Basically, they're rebuilding around whoever now.
Yeah. And I mean, if they get lucky to get a bunch of star rookie, they won't notice the blip, but I have a feeling
they're going to notice.
They're going to notice it.
They'll be like Swift Current Broncos kind of in when they went on their run there.
Right, when they went all in.
And went to the Memorial Cup, but then the next 3 years were god awful.
It's no different than the Riders 1-13. We went all in for it.
The Riders are a little different. We're usually win and then we're god awful for 10 years.
Awful. Well, that is exactly and we're at the 11-year mark. So maybe it's
might be.
Maybe it's Riders.
It might be. Well, in a small league such as the CFL,
it's true. It can easily be your season.
It can, and there's such high turnover now in football, especially the CFL with that 1-year option contract and guys going back and forth of the states and things like that.
Totally. It is so different. And with the USFL, XFL, that adds a little twist as well with different guys.
When you think of it, though, there's got to be a ton of football players out there because you look at the signing and just the sheer transactions of the NFL, the CFL. Wow,
where do they come from? They're and it's only North America.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Yeah,
it's crazy the amount of guys that are out there and the guys that don't make it.
No, and now like the Riders and all other CFL teams are going and having a tryout, let's say in New York, and one in wherever, and that wasn't before.
No,
but
they have to though now.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they're forced to compete a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah, they are. And it sounds like the XFL just signed for another year, which blows my mind. They said they were lucrative, is all that they said. I guess I could say that I'm lucrative as well.
Lucrative.
Yeah. I made $7 billion doing movies. The league lost $1 trillion. But we're going for one more. but they just said had a lucrative season.
If-
I'm like, there was one team, and that was St. Louis. And they packed their stadium all the time.
I wonder if the television didn't make it.
Who the hell was paying them for being on TV? Not that I didn't like it. I'm
They
not
must have
knocking it.
paid the XFL for rights, though.
It had to, and it had to have been a big check because it
Or
couldn't
a
have been
check.
merchandise. I mean, I went to Lids to get a hat.
Yeah,
Can't even order them.
really.
No, you got to order them through XFL. I went to XFL. They won't ship to Canada.
Hey, but you can get a fan's perspective hat.
You can get a fan's perspective hat. You just reach out to Tyson or I.
Yeah,
And,
and we'll be sporting them here in the next couple
Yeah,
weeks.
I got an email today. Half our shirts are done.
Wow.
So yeah, and the mugs.
So that's
which are
got to be
treats,
like my order.
But
then,
yeah,
eh?
probably. His order was 5 times the size of my order, but he's got more.
Like, what are
family.
you saying? I'm
My
bigger
kids,
or what?
no, my kids didn't get nothing.
You bastard!
I know,
You're
I'm a
calling me
dick.
fat.
No.
I know where you're headed with this.
Oh,
It's the jersey. It makes me look bigger.
that's 10 pounds. It's the camera.
I got shoulder pads under here, actually.
Oh Jesus.
Oh,
So today, no farming today.
no farming.
Rain day.
Rain day.
Rain day. And
God
you said
bless
it's
a
probably
rain day.
just as busy though.
Yeah.
Because every neighbor's out of the woodwork.
yeah,
Everyone
there's
wants to come
people
visit, do things. they
Driving
couldn't do.
around, yeah, looking
Yeah.
at the fields. Oh, it rained here, great. But it was still spotty this shower,
Big time.
you know. Yeah.
Even across town, everybody south of town, certain guys got lots, certain guys got none. We had some
Yeah.
guys that registered nothing.
Really.
Then you go north just to the correction line, which would what, Tice, be 10K? 8K?
8 miles.
8 miles.
Yeah.
On the other side, where the Wagners are at, 1 inch and
Yep.
4/10.
Yep.
And then in town here, we got anywhere between 5 and 7/10 is what I heard.
Yep.
And then, some guys down at 3, at 4, and it's crazy.
And then some at none.
None.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's unfair.
is.
Everybody, I'd love if
Everybody needs it. Everybody wants it. You know what? I said this many times to many friends. If no one's getting the rain, it's a lot easier to take
Yeah.
than if your neighbor is getting
Yeah,
the rain and
it
you're
is.
not. When you're on the other side of that fence, it sucks.
It sucks. Or even if you've got lots of land and you can literally drive down the road, on this side you got rain, on this
Yeah.
it's like should have just seen it this side, like like good
Yeah.
for nothing.
Oh, it looks like it looks like we're getting Brit coming on here. So there she is,
Hey,
right
Brit.
on.
I didn't realize my camera was going to be on right when I logged in there.
How
Well,
are you?
yeah, how are you?
Good. I'm good. You guys look so good.
Oh, it's the lighting. I bought a
Yeah.
really expensive light. Yeah.
And we got a great camera. It takes off a lot of pounds. So
Oh,
We-
you'll have to hook
It's
me
our
up.
first ever video. So we just did 50 push-ups and then we just came on set real quick. So we're
Yeah,
ready to
well, live and welcome to the Fans Perspective, Brit. We're glad to have you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Do you always wear rider gear or was that just for me?
this is we wore it once before, but tonight specifically.
Yeah,
But we always wear sports stuff, but tonight is the Rider episode. So
Okay.
we
Okay.
know you're the rider insider. So.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that. I haven't
You
been
are.
at camp this week, so I've just been like catching the echoes of what's going on, watching like the scrums that they do put online. So I feel like maybe if I was there, I'd have a little more intel.
Hey, it's not about that. This is pretty cool. I've seen you on the sidelines last year. I know you were literally, we sit 4 rows up. So it was funny. I don't remember who I was with at the game, but I was like, that girl's from Fox Valley. I'm like, that's super cool. And he's like, shut up. I'm like, dead serious. He's like, that's so
No
cool.
way.
Yeah.
Hey, you sit on the away bench or home bench?
We would be on the home bench.
Oh, no way. Oh, so you're actually kind of near where like a lot of the players' families and stuff sit?
Yeah, we're right along the goal line. We're
Okay.
right up, it's straight up from the goal line. There's me and drunk Donnie, and then we got 3 other seats. We got 5 seats there. So because both of us have 5 family members now, I guess all together with the 3 kids.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Well, I was going to say, because I ran into a group of y'all at, I think it was Labor Day. There was
Yeah.
Fox Valley. Were you there?
yeah, I was one of the
Okay.
idiots down in there. Yeah,
I was trying to remember who was all in that group. But yeah, you guys were there. You saw.
would have been that would have been me, Donnie, Dayton Reinbold.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't remember. We only had 4 that time. We didn't get the 5th seat till this year. So
Oh, well, there you go. So you're coming down for the home opener and everything?
I would like to. It all depends. My barbecue schedule is kind of silly and it kind of has me running really stupid. But I'd like to go to all of them, but it's not really the way it looks like it's going to happen.
Actually, I know you're not going to the home opener.
Where am I in the home opener?
Austin bought your tickets at a Austin bought the tickets at a live auction for an event we had for a young man in Maple Creek who was in a rodeo auction. So these guys donated their
that game's I'm not going apparently. I just found out.
But hey, you probably don't know this, but we are going to be doing a live show after every Rider game, like the call-in show used to be with Rod Peterson. So we're going to do something like that all the time. So
wow. Oh my gosh, look at you guys. You guys have done so well for yourselves. Good for you.
Well, we are, it's an excuse to tell our wives, we got big things happening, honey, and we just bring a case of beer and we chill out and it's awesome. So
and you have 3 kids now, Josh?
Yeah, I've got 3 little people. The twins are 6 and then Parker's 9. Yeah.
Oh gosh, and a set of twins though, so you're busy.
Yeah, Megan's busy. I'm just like floating, yeah.
And Tyson's like, all mine have moved away.
Oh, I got one at home yet.
Oh, do you still?
Yeah, my youngest boy is 16, so he's at home, Peyton. And actually, Courtney, who you went to school with, she lives in Regina too. So
I saw that because she got married not like a year ago.
Yeah. It was a year ago, and they actually have a little girl now too. So I'm also a grandpa. So that's
oh my gosh, don't you feel too
Old.
young?
Old.
Yeah.
Old man right here.
Didn't you just hear her say how good we look?
I think you said that up. I think you said the set looked good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, can you give us like an insight on how you got to where you are, coming from Fox Valley, how you end up in, journalism, sports, on TV? That's crazy.
Okay, I'll try to keep it short, but I mean,
The longer the better, Britt.
Yeah.
I feel like classic, and I'm sure, Tyson, you've dealt this with your kids, like you're 18 and you don't know what you want to do, and your parents are telling you, well, you got to go to college, you got to do something. And so I took a bunch of different majors and programs that I hated, I didn't like. And the one thing that just sparked me is one day somebody was talking about sports broadcasting, and I thought, oh my gosh, that sounds like the only career that sounds as if it would be fun. And so I remember I just kind of was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And so I applied for it, and I'd already been going to school for a couple of years. So thankfully all of my credits and the money that my parents had forked into it transferred. So they were happy about that. But so I ended up getting in at Mount Royal in Calgary in the broadcast journalism program. And so I did that. And I always knew I wanted to come back to Saskatchewan. That has always been like my goal. I love this province. I love where I'm from. I'm very proud of it. Spent 10 years in Alberta. I love Alberta too, but I just always knew that at some point in my life to come back here. And so when I went into school, I knew that we had internships at the end of it. And I said, I'm only going to intern at CTV Regina because I grew up watching CTV Regina. I don't know. That was my only thing. I put all my eggs in one basket. So I only applied for an internship there. And I basically forced them to take me on. I think I showed up in person, and my now boss, I was like, you have to take me on because they don't have another internship lined up and I need to have one. And so they took a shot on me. They let me come intern, and then my internship ended, and I was really hoping that they would offer me a job, and they didn't have any openings. And so I kind of was like, well, can I stay as an intern? So I stayed as an intern, and then they got to the point where they were like, you have to go because we'll be legally in trouble if you just keep working here without getting paid. So I left, and, I'm 22, 23, finished university, and I moved back in with my parents, which is super humbling. And oh my gosh, I just need a job. So I just started applying for jobs everywhere. It didn't matter in the industry because I actually didn't care. It could have been radio, it could have been TV, it could have been communications. I did not care. And I think 6 weeks went by, and my boss called me or emailed me and said, hey, Britt, are you still looking for a job? And I called him immediately, and I said, yep. And he goes, okay, well, I have. And I said, yeah, I'll take it. I didn't even let him finish. And he goes, sorry, my phone. He's like, well, no, you didn't let me finish what I want to say. And I said, I don't care about the job. Like, I'll be your overnight janitor. I just want to get a job in the industry. And so he told me, he's like, I have a producer job open on the morning show. And I said, yeah, perfect. So I went and I joined CTV Morning Live here in Regina as a producer. And I did that for a year. And then the anchor job opened up, and it's pretty unheard of that somebody who only has a year of experience is applying for an anchor job. And I kind of like the nudge of my parents. They were like, you should apply for it. And I was like, I don't know, whatever. And so I did apply for it. And same thing, lo and behold, they took a shot on me. and I got the job. So God willing, like, thank you, blessed. But I did that for about 3.5, 4 years. So if you watched the morning show in Regina, I was the anchor there. And I always wanted to do sports. That was always the main goal. And so Claire Hanna used to have this position. If you ever watched Rider games, Claire Hanna would have been the sideline reporter before
Yep.
And she's phenomenal. She works for TSN full-time in Ottawa now. And yeah, and she left because she got the TSN gig in Ottawa. So I was kind of like, well, it's now or never. Shoot for her job. And it was tough because I loved my job on the morning show, like loved every aspect of it, loved the crew. I loved having my afternoons off. I loved having a set schedule. And so it was really tough to make the leap, but obviously it's all worked out. And I kind of did that with CTV. And the thing with CTV and TSN is they're both owned by the same parent company. So Bell Media owns both. So if you work for CTV, TSN's able to offer you like, hey, can you come work for us on a contract basis? So I didn't even know TSN knew I existed. And one day I just randomly got an email from one of the head guys at TSN basically saying like, hey, I want to set up a meeting and talk about your future in sports with us. And I didn't even reply. I screenshot it and sent it to my dad. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I say? And he's like, well, answer him and tell him. And so, yeah, I just had to meet with this guy. And he basically was like, okay, like, I'm going to give you a couple tryouts. We're going to send you to Centennial Cup. We're going to send you to Esso Cup, TELUS Cup. And he's like, because, you know, I want to see how you are on air and under pressure. And then hopefully you can get in with the CFL, which is obviously like the big gig.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome.
That's
and
crazy, actually.
That wasn't long story short, but I tried.
no, that's great. And you know, so we had Natasha Stanishevsky on here
Yes.
a while ago too. And you are very similar to her in you have a distinct voice that is like unbelievable. You love to hear it, and it's not like anyone else's, and it's just awesome listening to you on the
when it's you.
Yeah,
Well,
no, it's great.
I sound like I smoked a pack of prime times. I'm still getting my voice back. I lost it earlier this week, so I swear I don't always sound like this, but thank you, because I know my voice, and most people actually don't. So I appreciate that.
I mean, I grew up with you. I mean, when you were tiny, when you were still in church with us, it's crazy.
She's still tiny,
I know, but like Brit, you were the little kid at church. Like, it's crazy when you guys moved away. Like, but the voice is still the same, just an older version. Like, it's crazy. Like, you have a distinct voice. Like my family, every time we answer the phone at the office, everyone's like, "Oh, is this Cam?" No, like apparently we all sound like our dad. There's nothing distinct about us. There is nothing special about our voice. So we were not meant to be on television, apparently. But you have that, and it's pretty cool. And it's super unique. And yeah, and with Natasha as well, it's kind of a bubbliness. You're both extremely happy. Like, even if you weren't in a good mood right now, we wouldn't know it. And Natasha made us feel the same way. She was just happy to chat. And I think that's the unique thing, and why both of you guys are becoming super successful. It's crazy. From Fox Valley. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
our hometown celebrity is what we call you.
Nah, I don't know some of the folks from there. So, but thank you. But I will say, Natasha, like, same thing. I love her, and I'm still so young in the industry that, you know, I look up to her. And I was doing a game in Edmonton last year, and they were playing the Stamps, and she works for the Stamps and stuff. And I could see her on the sidelines, and I was actually messaging my brother, and because my brother just loves Natasha, like,
I wonder why, but
yeah. And I'm like, Jeff, I'm 30 feet from Natasha right now. He's like, well, go say hi. Like, and so I finally get up the courage to go say hi to her. And it's like, I don't know why I felt like to say hi to her. Just like, oh, hey, knew I'm very like, going, I know who you are and you know who I am. Like, that's crazy.
It is wild. But in the industry, I guarantee she knows you now. You know, so would you be very similar in position to what she's doing for the Stamps now, kind of thing? Oh, I think we're just cutting out. I'm assuming we got a little bit of a technical difficulty with
similar in a sense. I guess, like, she does do a lot on air. I was gonna say, is it your internet or my internet?
I don't know.
She's got city internet. It's our internet.
Yeah, it's got to be ours. I mean, we're clear and whatnot, but Yeah, so I have no idea. I
Oh.
should text my wife upstairs and tell her to get off the internet. But you're good now. I can see you.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah,
now.
we're back. We're
We're
back.
back.
We're back.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. I don't know what you guys are on. We can blame somebody. I'm on, I think,
Yeah,
Bell.
we'll blame just for fun. We'll just blame the Stampeders because we brought them up, and that's when everything went. So are your parents and your brother, whom literally created my passion for the Riders, those two, between Tim and Jeff, honestly, they were so obsessive about the Riders. And every game I went to, I ended up congregating with them, and the Pilsners flowed. And those guys were at every damn game. Do they still go to lots of games, and are they still involved?
Yes, but not as much. I feel like my dad ended up getting season tickets, I think after we left Fox Valley. And so he had them for a while. And then I think kind of his realm was like, oh, if they win the Grey Cup at home in 2013, I'll get rid of my season tickets. And then sure enough, that ended up happening.
They did.
And I think it still kind of kills him to this day because he was like, I don't know if I actually wanted to give them up. But since he kind of gave them up, and because the team moved to New Mosaic, and I know that some people are a little hostile about that in the sense that it doesn't feel like the old Mosaic, old Taylor Field and stuff, but they do come not as often. My parents come more now that I work in it.
Yep.
And then my brother actually called me the other day to tell me he's going to go to the home opener. He's bringing all the kids. So
Oh, that's awesome.
good luck.
Yeah, I know. I've taken kids. It's a disaster.
Yeah. He's bringing one of his buddies to help him. I'm like, your poor buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't bring a friend. He won't be your friend no more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
For
that
sure.
hill country. I'm like, I don't know if hill country's meant for kids, but sure.
Oh,
So take us through your day of prep on game day. Like what do you got to go through on a game day to kind of get ready for the game?
Honestly, it's a couple day process, and it's different for away games and home games and stuff. But I will say the home game is obviously a lot easier because I can come home and really be in my own environment and not be stranded in a hotel room. But it starts the day before. The sideline reporter always flies in the day before a game. Obviously, Regina, I'm here, but on away games, I fly in. And the whole TSN crew just usually flies in day of game. And so I do the day before, and I do sit down interviews with a quarterback, a head coach, and then one other player that my producer picks. Somebody coming back from injury, somebody who's been on a hot streak. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. And sometimes you want to quarterback. Like if the quarterback's not the story of the season, they might give you a running back and then a defensive lineman or something. I don't know. So I do those sit downs with them. They're just one-on-one. They are filmed. I'm not on camera, but they are. And it's nice. Like I get to literally sit there and ask them questions. My producer will sometimes feed me questions of like what they want me to talk to them about. But I'm also allowed to throw in whatever I come up with. So that's kind of nice. And I like the freedom of it. And they're usually not longer than like 8 minutes per person because, they're busy. So I do all my sit downs, and because they're filmed, my producer will then watch them whenever he has time on the airplane or something. They get sent to him, and I'm also in my hotel room, and I write down what I think are the best sideline hit ideas of what I want to talk about in the game. And so I'll shoot them like a huge long email of just like, here's what I think. And I probably send way too many because I'm like, if we do this player, here's 6 ideas that I came up with. And so then my producer will write me back usually the morning of the game and say, okay, here's what I think are the top stories, and kind of go like, okay, we're going to shoot with this story, this story, this story, but it's also game dependent too, right? Because if I'm about to talk about a player who got hurt in the first quarter and hasn't touched the field since, probably not going to do a hit on them. So yeah, so he'll kind of line out what he thinks are the hits I'm going to do, but then say, keep the rest of those in the back pocket in case something storyline related happens. And so, yeah, so I spend all day just kind of memorizing them and getting ready to kind of tell them from a story perspective. Because I have notes, but I don't really look at them. And so I do that. I do my hair and my makeup. I go down to, if it's home game, I go down to Mosaic, usually like an hour and a half before the game. Sometimes you'll see me chilling in the party in the park with you guys. Yeah. And I go in, I usually go talk to my producer one-on-one, the whole crew. I get mic'd up. We do mic checks. A lot of times during warm-ups, like if there's something my producer thinks of or I think of that I forgot to ask, I have to run up to a player during warm-ups and be like, hey, I totally forgot to ask you this, or what do you think about this? So I'll kind of use that time to evaluate them during warm-ups or talk to them. And that's really helpful, to be honest. And then honestly, I just kind of feel like I sit in the zone, and I feel like people probably think I'm rude because, people are yelling at you from the stands or something. And I'm just so in the zone because I'm so nervous. And yeah, and that's kind of just it. Like I just wait for the game to start. You watch the game, you wait for your producer to tell you, okay, we're going to do a hit. And, when we come out of commercial break on, so-and-so. And so then I'm just ready once to come on a commercial break and do my hit.
Oh, that's totally cool. And it's so awesome to see you there on the sideline.
It's cool for us.
Oh, it is. It is. I know her. Like
You got to remember, we all, like, I guess his kids are older, but my kids, when I tell them, because I've seen you on TV, on the sidelines and whatnot, when I tell Parker, my 9-year-old, that's Brittany. Do you remember? And then I'll show him, we got like old church photos that we still have because my mom's Pastor Hazel. And I'm like, there. That's her. You know her. She went to our church. I'm like, yeah, that's Brittany. He's like,
yeah, there's probably some me from Christmas there or something.
Yeah, it would. You were tiny. I'll send you the picture next time I get to church. But
what I think is also funny is you keep saying Brittany, and it's funny because like I have not been called Brittany since I left Fox Valley. So once
sorry about that.
No, like it's okay. My parents still sometimes do it because like they like to bug me. But honestly, I have been Brit, but mainly I was Dort because when I moved to Manhattan, nobody knew my older brother, right? So Jeff was always Dort or Dorty, but I just took on that name because he didn't go to my high school. He didn't go to my junior high school. And then I remember I got to college and I mean, my professors, when they started doing attendance, they weren't going to call me Dort because even in high school, my teachers called me Dort. So then I kind of had to think like, well, I don't really want to be Brittany. Like, I just want to be Brit. And then especially once I got into broadcasting, I just wanted Brit Dort because I was like, it's so easy to simple, like to say, it goes, it flows. So when you say Brittany, I'm always like, who? But okay.
It's funny because my name's not Joshua either. It's Josh.
Yeah.
Like, nobody calls me Joshua unless my mom's yelling. Like, that's it.
Exactly.
Joshua.
Yeah. And then in front of me is, oh shit, I did it. So what about, before we get into little Rough Riders actual, what about after the game? Is it a super late night on a home game? Like you got to do an interview after sometimes. And what's that like to end the night? Like it's got to be a long day, start to finish.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Very long. Like I'm already thinking about Saturday's preseason game, although it's not broadcast, so a little less, but it's really long because I do still work for both, right? So I work for TSN and CTV, which adds a lot to my plate on the home games. So post game, I mean, I'm running on the field. You'll see me jogging because I have my camera guy with me, my mic guy with me, and they're going in my ear saying like, we need so-and-so and so-and-so because they tell me who they want for post game. And so I'm trying to find them on the field and they're all shaking hands and they're like praying and they're doing all these things. And I'm kind of going like, I need you for an interview. I need you for an interview. Like I have 30 seconds and I need you for an interview. And so that's really stressful because I usually do 2 to 3 field interviews. And sometimes the players are already back in the locker room and you're going, no, I need you. So that's stressful. And then for Rider games, I go down into post media. We do the podium, we do the coach and whoever's requested or whatever. And then this year, apparently they're opening the locker room again because for COVID, the locker room is closed. So, I mean, that's going to be a whole aspect I haven't done yet. So it's very late because by the time I usually go back to the CTV station, I file a whole story, yada, yada, yada. Like it's usually like 1 or 2 a.m. by the time I finish. The next day I'm required to film a segment. I do a segment with Wes Cates called X's and O's to break down. So I do that the next day. So game weekends are really tough, but I do like away games because I'm not required to do all that, especially when it's an away game that's not the Riders. Like if I'm just doing an Elk Stamps game, it's amazing because the game's done and I'm done. So it's like, I go through and we're like, where are we going for beers tonight? And we just go have, a couple drinks.
Life. Yeah.
Yeah. Literally.
So this year then, what's the feel? Me and Tyson were talking about it, being that last year was such a disappointment, of course. I'm sure even more so for you guys and actual Rider employees and whatnot. But as a fan, it's like we are so excited for this year to start, so we can kind of forget about the last year. Is the like what's the feel around there? Is there optimism, or is everyone kind of like just wait? Like we're gonna wait for a couple weeks, or are people optimistic? Like, are they like farmers? Like next year's gonna be better? Is it like an always positive thing? Or
yeah, I actually will say that it helps that Craig Dickinson is like a walking ball of positivity. Right. I mean, I've never had a bad experience with him in a scrum or anything, even when they were having a horrendous season last year. So he's very optimistic. He feels like they made a lot of good, signings in the offseason. They're kind of moving things around. I mean, they're very excited about Trevor Harris. So I would say it's pretty optimistic and positive. And I mean, the very first story I did when I went to training camp last week was, of course, about the offensive or the O-line, because I talked about the O-line not doing so hot last year. So, and I mean, I talked to new guys that, they had signed. And then I also talked to guys that were returning, and the guys that were returning were like, dude, like that's last year. Like we're not even focused on that. We won't even listen to the noise about last year. Like that's done, that's over with. And I mean, like only one team wins the Grey Cup. So it's, I mean, every other team didn't win. So we didn't win either.
You're right. Whether you're dead last or second, you all finished in the same place. In the end, you didn't win it. So that's a great way to look at it. I mean, that's an athlete's mentality for sure.
It's still a hell of a lot better to be second than dead last.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in my opinion, it is. But to those guys,
postseason last year, but whatever.
Yeah. But it's true though. Like to those guys, like to the guys playing on the field, if they didn't win, they lost. You know, to them, it doesn't matter that they made it. Like it's crazy, you know. But they have to live that way. They have to. The fire has to constantly be burning, otherwise they'll lose their competitive edge. Like it's just the way it is. These guys are, I mean, they're freak athletes. These guys are strong. They're nuts. Like football players have lost their mind. Who would do that for real? Like I always say, I'd love to be a football player. I just want to make one catch. But then I see the receiver get hit so hard that he runs through a table and the Gatorade's flying and he broke his ankle. I'm like, I'm just going to continue watching and dreaming about making a catch. Yeah.
Well, that's what I feel like. They're literally, and I'm going to quote Glenn Suter. He always says they're world-class athletes, because you have the people out there who try to downplay the CFL, which drives me banana lands. But it is like, I mean, I'm at practice almost every single day during the season. I watch them. I'm front row at the games. These guys are amazing athletes. And so anybody who ever tries to downplay it, I'm like, okay, you get out there, like you said, and you try to take it.
And what people really do need to realize is the CFL is a totally different game, and the NFL has so much politics involved. It doesn't mean that some of these guys aren't good enough to be in that league when they get bashed and whatnot. Any type of circumstance may have put them there. You have no idea. Or some of the guys, you know, like they ended up on the wrong draft with the wrong team that didn't need that specific guy. And he got shuffled down the line so far, no one saw him. And he pops up. I'm telling you, CFL athletes are unbelievable. I've been watching my whole life. And I watch the NFL. I'm a huge NFL fan, big Baltimore Ravens guy. So I love the NFL. But I'm telling you, these guys play for a fifth of the money, and they take all the hits the same, and they play just as hard, and they train just as hard, and the season is just as long. And that's crazy to me.
And it's cold.
And it's cold. And the football's hard to catch. It's huge.
So we're getting some questions on our phone here, Brit, and I'm going to just ask you one of them. So
oh no,
it's kind of from last year, and it's about Cody Fajardo. So the question was, did he lose faith from his teammates kind of deal last year, or what in your opinion, what kind of went on there that caused his kind of dip in production? I guess we'll go with that.
Oh, I feel like there's so many angles you could go with here, and I don't want to say anything negative or tiptoe around things.
No, 100%.
Okay, but first of all, Cody Fajardo, great person, off the field, great guy, never had a bad instance with him. I think it was just, he was never 100% healthy. If you saw him, he was wearing that leg brace or knee brace from the first game week of the year all the way through. And then when your O-line's not protecting you and you're taking hits right where everybody knows you're injured, that's not helping. I will say, did he produce what we thought? No, I would say that, maybe he did underperform a little bit in the sense, but what was one of the toughest things, because I understood where he was coming from at the end of the season, where he kept saying, the ship's going down, but I want to go down with my ship. And that's when they said, no, we're going with Mason Fine, the backup. And they threw him in for the final couple games of the season. And I understood Cody Fajardo being such a team guy, but I also understood, okay, we're trying to season right, and whatever's going on clearly working. So what do we do? Take a moment to go, well, let's put our hands in Mason Fine. And it's not the first he's getting into very often where the backup comes in and is better. But I would say that it's his team, and I think everything with what happened with even the Garrett Marino drama that happened, there was a lot with Duke Williams, there was a lot of drama. I think the team just ended up being split on a lot of issues, and that locker room just felt a little split. Even when you'd ask them about it, though, they tell you, no, the locker room's good, we're good. And it was like, but it feels like there's a divide right here. And it also felt like Craig Dickinson just lost the locker room toward that end of the season. So I don't know if that answered the question at
Yeah.
all.
100%. And losing will do that to you. And they were very undisciplined. That team, like they took more penalties. Duke Williams took penalties when he wasn't even in the lineup.
Not even dressed.
Yeah.
Don't get Duke involved.
So Trevor Harris is here now, and you had mentioned him earlier. Is this his team? Like, is he going to be the leader, do you think, or that veteran leader, and he just going to kind of take the guys in and follow me, kind of get on my back, and we'll take you?
I would say yes. I would say every player that I've chatted with, that's not Trevor Harris, that's, on the offense, has mentioned like how much they admire Trevor Harris and how much they just want to listen when he talks, because he has so much knowledge and experience in the CFL. So that's one thing. And then just his ability to be a leader, the way that he does, he grasps, he wants to learn everything about these receivers and these routes. And it was interesting because I was talking to Darrell Walker, who's a recent signing. So he was with Edmonton last year.
He's a stud.
Yes, I actually am very pro Darrell Walker. I'm so excited to see what he can do.
Me too.
And he briefly played with Trevor Harris in Edmonton, I believe. Yes.
Yep, he did. Yes.
Yes. And so he was telling me that, he goes, man, Trevor Harris was texting me before he was even my quarterback, being, man, I noticed when you run these routes, and I like already knew everything about me. And he's like, I couldn't believe that. He knew everything about all of us receivers. And so when you do talk to Trevor Harris, it's amazing. He can tell you everything about every receiver already, it feels like. And it was 1 week of training camp. And just like, he's so excited about everyone and every piece of the puzzle, and having Jake Winicky there with him, who he's familiar with. Hopefully that plays a big role.
It will. It's going to be his blanket, at least for the start of the season. You guarantee that it's going to be. Like, if there's a NFL fantasy for CFL fantasy, that's going to be a good clicker for you for sure.
That's a good point.
Yeah, totally will be. I know it. I love Trevor Harris. I loved him everywhere he's been, because he just didn't have the right pieces in place and the right coaches for him. I hope we do have that, but he's always the guy that's never been afraid to throw an interception, but he's not really worried about it at the same, like, it's kind of like the Durant is kind of how I feel about him. Like, he's just going to go out there and gunsling. Well, if I'm going to throw 4 interceptions, I'm also going to throw 6 touchdowns, and we'll make up for it. Like, that's how Durant was. Like, he just went out there and balled out. Like, I think Trevor Harris is going to risk his body a bit if he has to. He wants to win, and he really loves that this is the first team that he's been on that's in the limelight. Like, I know he's going to thrive under this. Just his character from previous years. I'm super excited for Trevor. I know some guys are downplaying it, or all my buddies that cheer for other teams, and I'm like, he's going to be different here. I have a feeling. It's not like a gut feeling. It's like, I think Harris has a chip on his shoulder. Some guys have cast him away. And I think that's going to play a big factor, and I'm excited to see him on the field.
I think the fans will honestly play a factor, because he mentioned that when we signed him, when they signed him, we went to that first press conference, and he talked about how he had almost signed here in like 2018 or 2016. I can't remember. And he just always said, he goes, it was my dream to come to Saskatchewan and be the face of this organization, and be the QB. And so I think that alone, like you said, that's going to amp him up to be like, I can't disappoint this fan base, because they'll let me know.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like sports. Canadian teams, I say Canadian teams, but there are some American teams, but I find that the crowd plays a bigger factor in NHL and in all sorts of sports, because you feed off that energy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being a pro athlete? Where's the one game?
The XFL.
The XFL. They don't even have fans in the stands in some games. But I went to a BC Lions game, and they only sold the bottom bowl, and I bet you 20% was full. And I was just like, man, how, as a player, it's really hard. I mean, I play beer league hockey, and that's how it looks at Fox Valley Arena when we're playing beer league. It's not like I'm playing for anyone. I don't give a shit if someone scores from the other end at that point, because it's like, I don't even care. But when
honestly, Edmonton felt that way, because I did a lot of Elks games last year. We haven't won at home since 2019. So like, every game that I would do was just like dwindling, less and less fans. And I'm really hoping, I do think Edmonton's going to be better this year. Chris Jones, Chris Jones always figures it out. So
yeah. So I got a question for you, Brit. Trevor Harris, to me, is like, he's going to be like a coach in the huddle. But what are your first impressions of our new offensive coordinator and what he's going to bring to the table to this team?
I wish I could say that I've had a conversation with him since training camp started, But I haven't. But while I've been in scrums, so people who have or scrums, so if you guys know what scrum is, like where everybody is their mic, sorry. You know, I've been in ones where they've talked to Craig Dickinson or Trevor Harris as well about him and just kind of said like, oh, you know, what's it like? What's different? And especially the guys who were here last year to this year. And they all seem fairly positive. I mean, I think getting rid of Jason Moss was needed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't know if I have an opinion yet, neither here nor there, but I will say everybody seems positive about the move. I mean, they're all going to tell you that they're positive and happy about it. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but from what I can see, I mean, practice looks similar, to be honest. They all do the same drills, but they do seem to have a little more pep in their step. And maybe that's just because it's the start of the new year and everybody's feeling fresh, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
He's excited about getting the job too. We did chat with him, obviously. Like he said, it's a dream. Everybody always wants to be a part of the Riders organization.
Absolutely.
So you're saying the jury is out yet?
Yeah, I can't give you my opinion until like maybe week 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, perfect.
I will tell you though, if they get off to a 1-2 win right away off the bat, that team is going to have that pep in their step because that's all that they need to get the fans back fully involved. Like there's the diehards, we're there no matter what, but there is that 50% of what I call snowflake fans, and you know what's going to happen if they start 0-2 or something. It's the moon is falling, you know. So if you give them though that 2 wins right away, Harris comes out as a winner right away, and the players feed off that. Everything's good. Totally. They go to Tim Hortons and the locals are buying all the Riders coffees like we used to when we saw them the day after, and they were in the casino with us those nights. Like it's crazy. I remember sitting in the casino with Chris Getzlaff after games and buying rounds and doing all that. Like it was back in the glory days, you know, where they won a lot. And they love the fans.
And before those glory days, though, there was the period where they didn't win at all.
Yes. Luckily, I was very little, and I do not remember that. So, but I sure remember the last 7 years, and they haven't been very fun.
I feel you. It's actually, this is a fun fact about quarterbacks that I was like, I feel like I have to share this about my experience. So this year, this will be my 4th time doing a game at Mosaic with TSN at home here. And it'll be my 4th different quarterback starting for the Riders, because the first game I ever did was the COVID game where everybody was sick. So Jake Dolegala, had to start. So he was my starting QB. And then I didn't get a game again until Cody. I had Cody's, then I got Cody the next game. And then it was the end of the season and I had Mason Fine because they took Cody out and put Mason Fine in. And now I'm going to get Trevor Harris. So I'm like, I don't know any other sideline reporter that's done the Riders in their first 4 home games have been 4 different quarterbacks.
That's crazy. Well, let's hope it doesn't go to 5 right away. Let's hope it's 4 is the lucky number. Yeah.
So you've been around the team a little bit. You're in Saskatoon there and stuff. Are there any rookie names or any names that are kind of popping out and you're like, hey, we're going to hear more about that name in the regular season?
Okay, I'm trying to think of rookies. I'm going to say
rookies are just new guys coming to the team, whatever.
Here's what I thought, because honestly, I like Jake Herslow when he got cut this week, and I was like, oh, he looked good last week, but okay. Devin Jones is a name on defense that you might hear. It's funny because there's a Tevin Jones and a Devin Jones. One's offense, one's defense. But you know, Craig Dickinson made a good point about second year guys, like how guys in their second year with the CFL really click. And I agree. And so Sam Emelis was their draft pick last year. So last year was his first season. And like, I liked him when you'd see him on the field, he'd get a couple touches here and there. And I thought he was good, but I don't think he really truly understood the CFL well enough yet. And so I think he's a guy, he's not really rookie anymore, but you'll see more of, and I think you'll like, I'm trying to think here. Jake Dalkey.
Yep.
I think I got that right. Same with him, like he's a Canadian guy. I think he'll also click. Now, this isn't a rookie, but because he's been gone the full last year, Micah Tights, I'm so excited to have him back because like that's a huge name to have back on defense, huge Canadian to have in your lineup. Not a rookie at all. I feel like I'm not answering this question well.
No, you're doing awesome. You're giving us names. That's all we care.
I'm trying to think. Okay, I've got to think about like running backs or something.
Well, Hickson and Morrow, like, I think they're pretty much solidified in the backfield, in my opinion. And
I'm
Yeah,
excited for that
yeah.
back.
I will say, and I feel bad saying this because I love both of them. Hickson looks way faster this year and way better than Morrow.
yeah, I
That's
agree.
his guy.
That's my
That's
guy.
his guy.
There was a report when he was in Saskatoon there, and he had visited a young gentleman at the hospital. And then he took the ball over from the practice field to that young lad there in Saskatoon. And right then and there, he's my favorite player after that.
Oh, I agree. And somebody joked, speaking of fantasy, one of the guys was talking about how, because last year he was a rookie and like this year, I guess his stock's gone up and they're like, you're costing me too much for my fantasy team for CFL because he's too good. And I agree. Like, I think we saw just him starting to kind of reach his peak and then he got hurt. But I think this year you're going to see like Hickson really take off and be your number one running back.
Yeah, I agree. And he reminds me of, I'm trying to think of his name. He was so good. He played with us a few years ago and then he went to the NFL, but he had lightning quick speed. He could break it. And the name, he went to Indianapolis Colts. He had a great season with us and I can't think of his name, but anyways, it wasn't Corey Sheets. It wasn't.
Sheets was my boy. Oh my God. I love that guy.
That era of the Riders. That was yeah.
I thought of it. Kenton Keith. That's who Hickson reminds me of as a runner.
Oh, yeah.
Kenton Keith.
And just tiny guy. Yeah. It amazes me how they can move. I will say that.
Yeah.
And he looks stronger this year too. So.
As you could tell, I'm a sports freak. I just this name stuff and
Tyson remembers that.
You're asking me names and I'm like, I can picture guys, but I don't know. I just when I see him on the field,
yeah,
I know that guy.
Yeah.
And what do you think of our receiving corps? Because that's all new too. I mean, we got the whole.
I love it.
I am personally glad Duke Williams is gone. I did not like Duke Williams. I like our young guy. Schaefer Baker is one of my favorites, and I think Wenicky is going to be awesome in there, and some new guys.
Darrell Walker is. I love that guy. He lit us up so many times. God,
I think Darrell Walker too is a case of like get him the right quarterback, and I think Harris and him are going to be a great mix. It's not that Cornelius in Edmonton wasn't a good quarterback. I just don't think they were the right mix, and I think that Harris and him will be. I will say, like you mentioned, it's like a whole new receivers group. And I was talking to Braden Linius and I said to him, like, you are literally the veteran in this group right now. And you just came back halfway through the season last year, and I mean, there was the COVID years before that, everything. And he's like, no, I love it. And I'm excited about it. And I'm ready to lead this group. And Craig Dickinson said the same thing about Linius. He said, like, we're expecting a lot out of Braden this year. And I rightfully so think he will do well because KSB is hurt right now. And we don't know how long it's going to be until he returns. Like, it could be September, I think they were talking, which is a huge loss. When he does return, like Brady Linius said, he goes, we're going to get him back right at the right time, right when nobody's expecting it. Like, exactly. So hopefully that does happen for them. Like you mentioned, Winicky. I mean, Mitch Picton's always good for a couple too. Like,
Picton, I love that guy.
Like, I don't know.
He's clutch.
He is. He's kind of that guy that just out of nowhere, you're like, oh, touchdown from Picton.
That's because nobody even knows he exists. And then he's just standing there. We're not going to block this guy. And he always gets a touchdown. Every time they use him in the red zone and they use him in a play, the son of a bitch gets touchdown. I'm like, I love this kid.
Yeah, honestly. So, I mean, I think it's a decent group. I think that if they all stay healthy, that's obviously always the issue. And that was where last year, like, Swerve or Kyron Moore, whatever you want to call him, Shaq Evans, Duke Williams. I know, I agree. He was kind of, but those three, like, they were never all healthy at the same time. And then Braden Lynch back, like, it was just, if you would have had all four of those guys in the lineup, I think it would have been like, try and stop us, but you just never could have it.
And it would have changed Cody's year as well.
Well,
I feel for him. Like, that's shitty luck. It would have helped him a lot.
And let's be honest, we still had a weak O-line.
Yeah, and I mean that's where it all starts. You can't throw the ball to a receiver if the quarterback has no time to get it there.
No, by the time Cody said hot, he was getting hit.
Ouch. Went from hot to ouch. Yeah. Poor bugger. I felt for him.
Well, let's switch directions here just for a couple minutes. We were talking about before you came on here. You got to see Connor Bedard firsthand many times throughout the winter. Let's go that direction. What was that like? A big question we always have is They didn't trade him. They could have set that team up for years to come. What kind of went on there? Was it Connor's decision, or did the Pats just decide, hey, he's too much of a financial asset here, we cannot move him? So just give us some brief thoughts about that.
Couple things on that. So I will say probably the month leading up to the trade deadline, which would have been in January.
Yep,
I think
you're right on.
So there was like World Juniors in December was kind of a, like the end of the season going for Christmas. He left for World Juniors, but we did bring up when we did the final media conference before he left for World Juniors, like, yo, trade deadline when you get back, like any thoughts? And he was kind of like, no, I've said it how many times, I want to be a Regina Pat. And of course, all of us are going, well, of course you're going to say that. You're not going to say I want to be traded in front of all of us. And so he goes, has phenomenal World Juniors. He comes back, same thing. Like we're talking to him, we're talking to John Paddock, like trade deadlines coming up. And same thing. They just kept saying, no, Connor wants to be a Pat. John Paddock kept saying he's going to be a Regina Pat. And then sure enough, the trade deadline day comes and I was like, they seem really set on this, that like he's going to stay. And sure enough, he did. So I was like, okay, like interesting. So we go to the trade deadline, or the end of trade deadline, I guess, media conference. And I get in there and I asked John Paddock, I say, what would it have taken to trade Connor? Like, what would you have to get as assets in return? And he literally looks at me and he goes, you can't answer that question. There's nothing that could have been given to us that would give up Bedard. Like, kind of keep back. Like, okay, I was just wondering. So
and they would have got
a ton. To stay there. I think it was tough though, because like, yes, you get a ton, but I don't know. I feel like it is going to be tough for the Pats next season, but they also wanted to grasp that like just a Regina Pat, right? Like that's somebody they're going to put in their rafters. That's going to be their legendary status of like, he's a Regina Pat,
Yep. Yeah. And played there only 3 years, right? Like there's no way he's coming back to Regina next year. So.
Yeah, I would love to see personally, just because I think it would just add so much. If Anaheim just went out, or sorry, Chicago just went out and was like,
trading the first pick.
Yeah, we will give you our first pick if you give us, and they list off like a crazy thing and go to some team, and I think that would be awesome. Like go to a team that's got a bunch of studs already and say, we want these two and a defenseman and your first round pick next year, and you get our first round pick this year. What do you say? I love that shit. I live for that. Like, because I don't care where Bedard goes, because sadly he's not coming to my Flames, which I wish he was. That's never gonna happen. We got dog shit to give. We're not getting them. So, but I'd love to see it change. Like I love stories, like big stuff happening. Like I think it's awesome. Other than when another basketball player pulls a gun out on an Instagram, the same guy that did it 2 weeks previous. Those aren't the big stories I'm looking for. That guy's an idiot and he's probably never going to play in the NBA again. But I would love to see something happen. Like
speculation is awesome in sports. Like
man,
we all feed off of it. Stories, speculation, what's going to happen, and that's the exciting part. So.
Well, and then you have the people who are all about the draft lottery being rigged and like all that jazz. That plays a role, because I'm like, I don't know, it does seem too good to be true that Chicago gets them.
It does. They just got out of their last dynasty of winners.
Yeah.
They just start to suck, and now come on. That's ridiculous. They got Michael Jordan, they got Kane, they got Taves, and now Bedard. This is unrealistic.
So I see a couple jerseys hanging over your shoulders there. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, I'm in our spare room here, which is like my boyfriend's shrine, I guess you call it. It's kind of his office, but yeah, those are from his junior days. So Cam Williamson, and I think the Red Deer one's there. Awesome. So that's where he played. So he has them all hung up, some awards. I don't really know.
That's really cool. I don't have a jersey. I got other people's jerseys on my walls because I never did nothing. So that's really cool.
We're definitely going to send some fans' perspective stuff, and we can put it right over her left shoulder.
Right over there.
Perfect. Yeah, that wall's actually pretty blank right there. So
now that
I checked it.
Whitney, we could even get it in Flyers colors if you want us to. Yeah.
That's all I have.
I
tell them when we get like, the nice basement suite, I was like, I'm going to my shrine of Flyers stuff up, and then his can go somewhere.
Yeah. And Jeff's probably got some cool stuff. I mean, he played too. He played for the Pats.
Yeah, it's funny. He has a Dale Durkatch bobblehead that I got him because I had it at work on my desk, and I just gave it to him. And then my nephews broke it, like my sister's kids broke it. So he's like, "You need to buy me another Dale Durkatch bobblehead."
That's hilarious, Jeff. He texted me, I don't know how long ago it was. I was at a function down in the States barbecuing, and Ken Griffey Jr. was there. And so we took some pictures together and whatnot. Griffey came and photobombed us and did a bunch of stuff. And I didn't know this, but Griffey actually went to the Reds, and Jeff's a huge Reds fan. And he's like, dude, can you like get me? I don't know if you asked me for like a phone call with him or something. Like, I don't think I know Griffey quite good enough to like get you a one-on-one with him, but I mean, I'll do my very best. So I'm still working on it. If you talk to Jeff, I'm working on it.
Yeah, he's like, I actually always feel like when I get asked to do something like this, or just in general, I always feel like my brother should be the one that's doing this, because he knows 1,000 times more than what I do, and like would be so much better at it than I am.
But the thing is, you got to remember, Jeff, a lot like me and Tyson, is a little bit too passionate as a fan, and we would get canceled extremely fast. The first 16 F words that came out, and then the derogatory term that we say, and then, wow, do you see how hot that girl was on live camera? You know, those type of things, those don't go well with the corporate world. So like we're destined for podcasts and our own shows. Like that's
well, we're fans. Brit is a professional.
Yeah,
that's
that's
just worded that way.
We're fans of
Something
everything.
like that. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, we're stoked. We thank you so much for taking the time to do this tonight. This is super cool for us. It's kind of like, you know, it's just, and we're just living out our dream. We're just having a blast talking sports, and we get to do this. We do this every week, me and Tyson.
Twice a week sometimes.
This is the first time doing a video. We've never done a video one. We've done all just audio podcasts. And so we're super stoked to kind of grow it. And we got a few things coming up this summer as well. We're going to kind of try new things, and we get to have beer once a week. It's like an excuse for our wives to watch their crappy television. Megan's watching something awful.
Chicago Fire
or Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
And me and Tyson get to have beers together and just shoot the shit. It's pretty cool. So to get someone like you on the show, we've been looking forward to this all week. It's serious. We love the Raptors. And seriously,
I can remember the day that you answered my message from Instagram, and I like get on the phone right away from Josh and like, oh yeah, she'd love to come on. That is so cool. And that just made our day.
Gosh. I felt so bad because I felt like you probably thought I was ignoring you, because I next to never check like messages. Like I said, I'm kind of constantly always on the go with work, that like sometimes I take like weeks to reply to people, and I feel really bad. So I do apologize for keeping you waiting, but I mean, I was more than happy to do it. And like, I mean, never going to forget my hometown. So it's cool that I have a podcast from my hometown.
Yeah, I guess we're the first podcast in Fox Valley. I mean,
exactly.
We're trendsetting.
And I do think it takes a lot, because people don't realize, I think, till you start a podcast, how much work it actually entails. So people just think you sit there and you talk, but the editing and, you know, the uploading, everything, it's
lots of research, and
we got a whole team. Megan helps. His wife does all the uploading and whatnot. I do all the videos and kind of editing. And
we're a little short on makeup and hair yet.
We don't have working on it. We don't have a crew yet. We don't. We're working on it. Yeah.
Don't need it. Yeah.
We could use a little over here for Grandpa.
So let's go back to the Riders for a few minutes yet before we let you go. But so where do you see this team stacking up in the West, in your opinion? Tough questions, eh?
I know. And I feel like I'm the worst person for predictions. Like if you told me that, if I would have guessed Florida being in the Stanley Cup final, probably not.
No one guessed that.
I expect to see if somebody won between Dallas and Vegas. Do you guys know the answer to that?
Dallas won in overtime tonight.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah.
The TV in the other room. So I left when overtime started. But a prediction, sorry. I think, like I said, I think Edmonton's going to figure it out a little bit more this year. Will they be in competition? I don't know. BC, I mean, you don't have Nathan Rourke anymore at the helm. So I think the Riders realistically could be one of the top teams in the West. I mean, Winnipeg's always going to be a tough
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
To top,
So-
especially. But
I'll simplify it for you. Are we a playoff team this year, Britt?
I hope so. I think so. I think if everybody stays healthy, that's the biggest thing. There was a lot of adversity that the Riders faced so much with like injuries and the suspensions and in the COVID game, and like that played a huge role into how their season went last year. I don't think it was a matter that they weren't a good enough team to make playoffs. It was just a lot of difficulties off the field, and every team has that. But I do feel like it just felt like the Riders couldn't catch a break. So I feel like this year, if they can catch the break and maybe stay healthy and, play smart, that they should be a playoff team.
Yep. And my second question is, of course, the O-line was terrible last year. We all know that. Do you see improvement out there, like from what you've seen so far? Obviously, there's a lot of different players that were signed to come in and fill some holes there. And what are you kind of seeing out there for the O-line?
Well, I think the two biggest things that they did is they brought in, Peter Godbeer and Philip Blake. And like one was the former center for Nathan Rourke, the number one QB. So I think those two are going to play a huge role and kind of send a message of like, we hear you. We understand. Here's what we're doing. And the other thing, they had 4 guys who were returning starters at the start of training camp. And one of them, they already cut. And I was pretty distraught about it because I loved this guy. He was such a good guy, Cooper Richardson. Shout out to him. He only started, I think, like 4 games last year, but he was a great dude. Yep. And when we cut him, we asked Craig Dixon about it. Like, you only had to make 10 cuts. Like, why let go of Cooper Richardson, who's somebody who was here last season? And he was like, I think that's just a message of like where we're going with this O-line, and what we need to do is like, we have a standard and this is where we are. So I think, again, Philip Blake and Peter Godbeer, like, those guys are going to help run that O-line on top of having Logan Furland, who's also going to be a veteran player there. But
well, and the pressure is on Craig, and he's on his last year of his contract, and it's show me now, or you're probably not going to be back next year.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's tiptoeing around that when we're around him, but he knows. We all know the pressure's on.
Oh, he knows.
You start that season 0-3, probably not going to. And it's tough because, you go and play Edmonton on the road week 1. Edmonton's wanting that home win. And then I think you play Winnipeg week 2, don't you? So it's like, those are actually 2 games that realistically could go 0-2.
Yep.
Yeah. And that would
that so big red panic button will be getting
hit. And Ryder let you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They hit the shit out of that button. Yeah.
Well, it's going to be exciting, and
I'm excited.
I got a lot of optimism for the Riders this year.
I do too.
Yeah,
I feel good. I told you to start. I feel good.
Well, I do too, actually. Trevor Harris just brings a different feel to me. Like I said, he's going to be one of the coaches out there as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. He's already a veteran in the league, played with a lot of guys. And he's a gunslinger. I like it. We haven't had a gunslinger since Durant, and that's what he is. He throws a great long ball, and he's not afraid to throw it into double, triple if he has to. He always feels like he's got a chance to win the game, and I love that about him. Even if he throws an interception, doesn't bother him. He goes off. He kind of has a yell. I've seen him multiple times, and he comes out, and you'll kind of throw him away for the game, and he'll come out with 3 touchdowns in the second half with a horrible first half, and because he's not afraid to do it. And I think that's something the Riders with this receiving core. I think these are playmakers. I really do. These are all of our receivers have that playmake ability. And I have a feeling that if they stay healthy and they get that offensive lineman to just hold up that extra second, I honestly have a feeling this offense could be better than our defense. And that's rare for Ryder. Normally we live off the defense, and our offense.
I know, the defense actually has a lot of returning veterans too. So the defense, I think, might even be stronger than the offense this year. So maybe that's a good mix for the Riders to have when you.
About time. Yeah.
So my prediction is, because Trevor Harris throws the ball so fast, the O-line will be better regardless, because he reads defenses very quick.
He'll make up a little bit of the mistake.
Yeah, they're going to have an extra half second. Guaranteed. So
can't wait.
I'm not sure if we lost Brit or not, but we're
extremely still.
Yeah.
God bless Fox Valley Internet. But I have no idea. I even upgraded the internet for this, Brit.
Yeah, we're good.
We can hear you, but we just can't see you anymore. But, we can see you. You're stuck like an ice cube.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I did upgrade my internet. Literally
Just
before
frozen and probably not nice position.
Yeah, there you
There
go.
we got
Feedback.
live feedback.
Oh,
It
there we
wasn't
go.
even a
Good.
bad one. You weren't making a weird face. It was just stuck. Yeah, but that's okay. We
Just
will.
So, I feel like, oh my gosh, if people listen to this, they're gonna think I'm like so pro Riders, and I do have to maintain like an unbiased. So I will say, don't get me wrong, I grew up in a Rider family. I grew up in Saskatchewan. I loved the Riders, but I will say, since starting kind of like the TSN gig, and I do a lot of games that aren't Rider games, you get to know these players and these coaches on a personal level that I get to the point now where I'm like, I want both teams to win, because I
Yeah.
get to know these guys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love all your stories, and I love everything about this, and I just love the league now. So of course, the Riders winning does help make my CTV job a lot easier. I will say that. And keep the fans happy. But again, I'm just happy for CFL football to be back. I'm just happy for everybody to
Yeah.
back on the field, and I just hope nobody gets injured. Hope both teams
Yeah.
have.
But everybody understands, no matter who you work for and whatnot, everybody has a team that you grew up with, so
Yeah.
it's you're just a little biased. You're not completely Riders. You love the CFL, and I understand it. I've met multiple guys from different events and things, and you're right, it's the players that make the league, and there are amazing players in this league with amazing stories, and there's such good people that do amazing things. It's just, of course, we are Saskatchewan people, so we bleed green deep down. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
let's be honest. The CFL players play for the love of the game. It's not like
Yeah.
they're getting rich out there.
there's no paycheck. That's yeah,
So
crazy.
yeah. But
Crazy.
Well-
I couldn't live off that, and I'm not risking my back.
yeah, but you're an insurance
Oh
We know
God, here it goes, Britta. Sorry, you're breaking up, Britt. We're gonna have to go.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can hook up somewhere, weeks down the line, and kind of see where the season is heading and get more opinions from
That'd
you.
be awesome to get like a mid-season insight from you. That'd be great.
Okay. Hopefully it's positive.
Well, it will be anyways. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
because you're TSN. You're not Riders, remember? So we can just talk about the league as a whole.
The
with
whole
that.
league, yeah.
and if you see two crazy guys in the stands, like, hey, Brett,
Yeah.
that's probably
It's
us
probably
two guys
us,
there.
We're all crazy.
Yeah, we are.
Right?
But this S stands for super crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
thank you so
awesome.
much for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks, Britt. Say hi to your parents. It's been a long time.
I
So
will do.
yeah, please do.
So do you got any family in Regina, Britt?
No.
No.
I am here all by myself. I mean, my boyfriend and I, he's never here because he's so busy with work and stuff. But yeah, we have this place, and we kind of go back and forth because he's from Southeast Sask, so we go back home to his place, and my parents are in Manitoba now, and my brother's there. So yeah.
Crazy.
Kinda-
And your crazy season is coming too, where you're going to be flying around the country, following the league. And
Honestly, I think I have tomorrow off, and I booked a tea time for us because I was the next time that we're gonna see each other, just because we're so busy. So take advantage when you can.
Yep. Use it when you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, the season is upon us. Thank you for joining us and giving your all your insight. And it's truly an honor to have a hometown celebrity
It
on
is
the
cool.
podcast.
I wouldn't go that far with that word, but thank you.
We can do what we want. We own the show. Thanks, Britt. Really
No,
appreciate it.
You guys, and have a good one. And again, yeah, reach out anytime.
You
Yeah.
bet. We will be staying in touch,
You
and
bet.
look forward to having you on the show again.
Sounds good. Okay, thanks, guys.
You
See you,
bet.
Brett.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was great.
That was great. And that's Brit Dort, our hometown celebrity, giving her insight on the Riders, the league, Connor Bedard.
It's-
Wow.
It's pretty cool being that. I mean, she's your daughter's age. You literally
Yeah.
grew up, when they were little.
I remember going to your church preschool.
Yeah.
Brittany, as I knew her back then,
Yes.
she was in this little red dress, and she was the tiniest little thing you'd ever want to see, eh?
Crazy now. Yeah. And now she's doing something we would love to do. That's awesome. Good
Oh,
for her.
hey, yeah, well, we're trying to follow her
Yeah.
footsteps.
We just want to do the X-rated version where we can swear and drink beers on the show.
Yeah,
I don't want all the rules.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, I don't want all the rules. And I know you don't either.
Mm-mm.
But we're going to cut the live stream off now, and we're just going to continue on with our podcast, which you guys can listen to maybe tomorrow or the next day when we
You
get
bet.
it uploaded. So I'm
You
gonna
bet.
log out of the actual live, and thanks guys for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Lots more to come on the Fans Perspective.
Cheers.
And there you go. There you have it. Well, that was a fun show. Truly an honor to have her on, and